So, you have been given an opportunity to work with an incredible health tech startup. It's one of your first consulting projects. That's the big question. How much do you charge? So, I get that question several times a week. I know it comes up in a lot of different forums amongst doctors. How much do you charge? Do you charge clinical rates? Do you charge hourly rates? Etc., etc., etc. Right? Big question. What is the big number? You just want to be told and get on with your life, right? Wrong. Okay. There's so many doctors who unnecessarily almost always undercharge for consulting projects, particularly in health tech. So I am going to walk you through a really simple framework that will help you to charge confidently, get your mindset in the right place so that you are charging for outcomes and not hours, and actually do some really great, valuable work that makes you money and that financial stability that you're after. So if you want all three of those, just listen to this episode. Hey guys, so if you are watching the video version of this, you may see I have stickers on my face of various animals. I don't even know what are on the stickers, to be fair. They were my kids, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be great just to do an episode on pricing with kid stickers on my face? I've got 2 and 4-year-old, that's my excuse. Anyway, so I thought, hey, a question came up today, which comes up all the time, especially with my fellows. So we have a fellow who got their first consulting project offer within the first month. Hello, not uncommon for our program. And was like, hey, so I've been approached. They want to work. They want to get the proposal on ASAP. I'm doing a few hours for them a month. I'm writing some stuff. They're putting my name down on some applications. Like, what do I charge? Is this enough? And I'm putting this because I'm not going to put any numbers quite yet. Is this XXX enough? Right? And so I usually sit back and I say, hey, all right, let's go to the top. The top is, and I always ask this question, what problem are you solving for this company as a doctor, right? What problem are you solving? A lot of people don't know the answer to that question. All right. And then I say, so what outcome are they paying you to get? So what transformational outcome are they paying you to get? So is it they want you to help them raise some money? Is it that they want you to give them a stamp of credibility so they can open doors? Is it they want you to introduce you to some people in your healthcare network? What is it that they want that will actually change the course of their business and their trajectory and growth? Right? And then the last is, actually, this should be really the first question. How much money are you looking to earn this year? How much money are you looking to earn this year? And how does this work fit into your financial goals as well as your lifestyle goals and all of those things, right? If you're not clear on any of those 3 things, you need to go back and have some conversations, firstly with yourself on the money and the goals side of things, but secondly, with the company, right? Because if you're not really clear what the value is, and you're not going to be able to price confidently, and you will almost definitely overcharge. And so I see this problem all the time, right? A lot of doctors really struggle with this because we just don't ever do it. We just get told what we're going to be paid. Or there's like a kind of, I say, standard in inverted commas rate, depending on your specialty and where you're working, whether it's public or private, right? And so the reality is we are conditioned to thinking in salaries, right? And not market value and what the real value of that we have. And hence why we see a lot of doctors striking, particularly in the UK, because we don't have any control over our monetary value. We also tend to equate time with worth. So hourly rates, that's what we're used to, right? We get like a set hourly rate depending on the grade of doctor that we are. Right. And the problem with hourly rate is that you can never get out of hourly rate. So you're basically paying for your time and not really your expertise. And that is something that's very difficult to negotiate upwards once you're stuck in that. So, for example, you may spot a problem in a system that a company has, right? So you may come and go, hey, that is the problem in the system. You pointing out the problem and then being able to fix it could have solved them millions of pounds. right? And it would have taken you an hour. But all of the work that you've done, all of your expertise, and you've probably been studying, like most of us, forever, but that's everything in that enabled you to fix that problem in under an hour, right? So should you just be charged for that one period of time? And this is why some sectors, say for example barristers, they charge hundreds and hundreds and hundreds an hour. Right, but you don't want to do that, especially in consulting, because there are multiple activities that you may be doing that may or may not take a lot of time. All right, so you should always think about what is the amount of time realistically that I'll be spending, but most importantly, what is the value, right? Because you want to maximize the value for the time spent. The other problem that we have as doctors is that we don't like talking about the big M word, money. And, I talk about money quite a lot because I think it's important to get rid of that taboo finally, so we can value ourselves. And because we can't talk about money confidently, we don't like to negotiate or talk about it. So it's really hard. And another common faux pas that I hear is doctors tend to ask, so what is your budget? What do you want to pay me? Right? And again, it's setting yourself into a trap, because almost always they don't really have a set budget, because most companies, especially in health tech, don't really know how to work with doctors. So these are because like health tech is still a very young sector, so there's still a lot of uncertainty of like what they pay, and this is what you can actually leverage. And then, say for example their budget is a lot lower than what you want. It doesn't mean that you've got to go lower, or even it may be a lot higher than what you expected. And the question is, do you say, oh, well, I'm comfortably in that budget, I'm just going to go with what I want? So it's really important that you don't ask for the budget specifically, because you end up being in the defense line all the time. So how do you deal with this? So there are 3 simple rules before you go down this alleyway, right? So number 1, remember this: pricing is marketing. I'll say it again. Pricing is marketing. So think about it. I use this example all the time. You're going into London. So for example, we stayed in London the other day, right? And you see the Travelodge, right? You get a bed for the night, right? Or do you decide to go to the Ritz? So the Ritz is you get a bed for the night, but the experience is way different than a Travelodge, right? So what are you expecting, right? The Travelodge is going to be relatively lower expense, because actually London hotels are expensive regardless of whether you're going bargain basement or not. And the Ritz, always a much higher expense. And these two are just signals. So if you're going, I don't want to spend much money on my bed, I just want to sleep, I don't really care. You might not sleep in the Travelodge because, hey, but you're expecting a lower price. And so you're not expecting the frills. You're not expecting anything but just the bed, if you're lucky, right? The Ritz, you're expecting the white glove service. You're expecting champagne by your bed. You're expecting peacock feathers and a butler and whatever else you get at the Ritz. I've not been at the Ritz, as you can tell. But do you know what I mean? Like, by just seeing the price, it's indicating what the value is, the level of experience. So if you underprice, you're telling your market, the companies, that you are not that valuable. If you choose a premium price, then you're like, I know my worth, what I am doing is valuable. And then they decide whether it's worth it or not. And then you have that ROI, return on investment conversation. Right? So it's all about positioning. So cheap is uncertain, and you're getting bargain basement, and you may have to redo things if they go wrong. And premium is you're confident in what you do, it works, you've got all this expertise, and you're high value. All doctors, particularly in health tech consulting, should go the high value end, because that's what's expected for doctors. We are not cheap objects. We've studied for years and decades, a lot of us, and we need to charge appropriately, right? The second rule is charging for outcomes and not hours, as I said before. So just be clear, you're not selling your time, you're selling the transformational outcome. So as I mentioned earlier, if your advice helps the company avoid a 100K mistake, and as one of my fellows helped a company solve in 2 weeks They help solve this company £1 million mistake, charging just a small fraction of that. That could be 10K, it could be 100K. It's worth it. It's fair, right? No matter how long it took, because you save them a heck of a lot of heartache. So really stop thinking about how long will it take as the foundational element. And it's like, what is this worth to them? And how do you find out? You ask them appropriate questions as to, like, why is it that you need me in particular, not just any doctor, but why me? What can I help you do? What is your strategy? What is your goal? And usually with companies, it's about reputation. It's about making more money. It's about efficiency. It's about not losing money. It's about growth or retaining people. It's usually one of those few things. So ask questions around that. And as I said, the last point is just don't ask for the budget. Do not ask for the budget. Right? Again, price and anchor to your outcomes and your confidence. It is poker. This is poker. So a simple formula to help you work through this for yourself when you're like, what do I charge? Right? So V for value, I for impact, P for positioning, VIP. Right? V, value. What transformation are you creating the client? As I mentioned before, are you helping them to make more money? Maybe they're going through a funding round. Or are you helping them to sell to the NHS or a healthcare provider? Again, more money. Are you helping them to save money in some ways? So what is the value that you're offering? Is it the credibility stamp that will help them to get into doors and open doors? I, impact. How big is your shift going to be when you're with this company? So are you helping them save time? Are you helping them make more money? Are you helping them get greater credibility? Or are you helping with the risk? So for those of you who are working as like clinical safety officers or in governance and regulatory, that's a huge risk thing. A regulatory point, it's really, really big, right? And the key is, how are you different from any other doctor that could show up and be like, hey, I can do the same thing? Because again, that's where your value is. If you could do the same thing as a lot of doctors, then you're not valuable enough. You're not valuable enough. So you need to really, and this is why I always say at the beginning, niche down. Or, as I said last week at Google, niche the fuck down. You will remember that because 200 doctors did, and I've been quoted it back to me since. P, positioning. How do you show up? Do you show up as someone who is a partner, or you merely, I'll do what I'm told, contractor or freelancer? Right? As doctors, we are leaders. As doctors, we have this expertise. As doctors, we have the confidence, or we should have the confidence, right? This is why we're being hired, right? So show it. Simply show it. So when you communicate your value, your impact, and your positioning clearly, pricing is a reflection of the value that you offer, your leadership, not your labor. And so another thing to remember is, like, when you are starting projects, and I always recommend this to my fellows, it's really important to think in a project term rather than a retainer. And I always say project because it's a really great way to test the waters with your client, because you may not want to work with them long term and it may not really work out for you. So have a redefined period. It could be a few weeks, it could be a few months. And you're doing it on a project basis, so there's very clear outcomes, very clear deliverables, and you're clear on what you're going to do. Because what I can find is people start on retainers. That could be a monthly retainer, that could be a day rate, and you're kind of just there doing stuff. And you get to a period and they're like, we're not sure what value you have. Or it might be, hey, it's great you're here, we're going to pay you loads of money. But at the end of the day, you need to be providing value, and it needs to be clear to them, because it could get to a point where someone else comes along and they decide, or someone else comes in and says, why do we need this expensive doctor? We don't need you anymore. What's the ROI we're getting from you? Right? So it's really important that you are clear and that your client is clear. So you're always reselling to your client of the value of you being there. I think that's really important for anyone, because if you're not valuable enough, why are you there? Move on and give your time and your services to another company that will really, really value you, right? Because we don't like to be redundant and just sitting there taking people's money. That's not what we're about. We're here to make an impact and create value at the same time. And for those of you who are thinking, oh, I don't want to be charging highly, I want to be helping everyone, I don't want to, and I always talk about the Robin Hood strategy. So this is your bonus Robin Hood strategy, whereby you focus on the premium end of the market and you sell premium, you sell highly, and because you're able to do that, you don't need to do as much work, and therefore you can do your pro bono because that's what you want to do, and so everyone wins. So people that can afford you will pay you. People that can't afford you, you give them your free time. So the problem is, if people focus on the other end where you're giving away your free time, which a lot of doctors do outside of their salaried hours, and you're not really getting paid in return, then you end up having to do more work, and then you get burnt out. So it's not a great strategy for a well-being perspective and a sustainability perspective. So that was a quick rundown on pricing for doctors. And for those of you who sat through me talking about this with kid stickers on my face, well done. Hopefully that was entertaining and got you engaged and listening. And so the question is, what are you going to do differently next when you're asked by a health tech company for pricing your project? So I hope you found this valuable. Remember, if you're someone who likes community for growth and impact, and you're thinking bolder, you're acting bigger, and you are scaling your voice, then consider Doctor and Industry Ecosystem. We are growing. We just had an amazing event last week in the Harley Street district. We had singing, we had pitching, we had green Prosecco. it was incredible. So if this is you, go to doctorsinindustry.com and you can find out more about applying to join our amazing fellows who are getting results with really incredible companies innovating at the front. We're talking Microsoft, we're talking Fitbit, we're talking Aura, we're talking a whole range of different startups, Healthtech Consulting, Pharma, got Novartis, I could literally just reel off a bunch of names now, plus the ones that aren't doing that because they're building their own businesses and creating their own names. It's great. Come join us. Until next time.